Last season was a disaster of a title defense run for the Los Angeles Lakers. Hampered by injuries and COVID protocols, the Lakers sputtered into the play-in period, where they beat the Golden State Warriors to advance against the Phoenix Suns. Without Anthony Davis in tow, the Lakers were no match for the eventual West champions, and they bowed out 3-1 in the first round. For LeBron James, that was his first-round exit in his career. Naturally, Pelinka and the Lakers got to work retooling their roster. They traded Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Montrezl Harrell to the Wizards for a superstar name, LA-born Russell Westbrook. To bolster their gutted rotation, they signed a bunch of solid role players: Wayne Ellington, Trevor Ariza, Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, and recently, Rajon Rondo. As a result, they've changed their roster makeup completely, being entirely different from their prior lineups. With that in mind, let's look at the potential of this lineup on both sides of the ball, and who will be the key factors in their success. But before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos. The depth chart of the Lakers would likely look something like this. Nunn and Rondo might be interchangeable depending on the team's needs. So is Horton Tucker and Monk, and Ariza and Bazemore. They're more or less equal in terms of skills, or in the case of Horton Tucker and Monk, have differing skill sets that allow them to change up their look. Now, let's look at how their offense and rotations will likely run. That starting lineup looks really good on paper. Westbrook, James, and Davis are 3 MVP caliber players at their peaks. All of them are capable of carrying the load when one of them falters. However, a big weakness for this lineup is their outside shooting. They are all skilled at the rim. However, no one in that starting 5 is a reliable outside shooter. Westbrook is notoriously bad at spot-up threes. And while Davis is a capable shooter, he isn't a traditional floor spacer. Gasol isn't a great shooter at this point, and is sometimes unwilling to even shoot. Horton Tucker shot less than 30% last season, and LeBron, well, you don't want LeBron spotting up from 3. Therefore, I imagine that these Lakers will likely sub in a spot-up shooter early for one of the big 3, likely either Monk or Nunn for Westbrook, or Ariza for LeBron. The reason why one of Braun or Westbrook would be subbed out is to stagger the minutes of LeBron handling the ball and Westbrook handling the ball. Both players are most useful with the ball in their hands, and so limiting the times they share the court when it's not crunch time will help them run an offense better. Speaking of offense, I don't think they'll deviate too much from their original game plan. Give LeBron the ball. That style of offense has worked for many LeBron teams in the past, and it hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. However, they'll add a new wrinkle by giving Westbrook control of the offense when LeBron sits down. The Lakers struggled last season with lineups without LeBron on the court. They could previously rely on Rondo during their championship run, but with Rondo out and a subpar playmaker in his stead, the offense sputtered. Now, with another MVP caliber ball handler in their roster and Rondo back in purple and gold, their non-LeBron lineups will hopefully run a lot smoother than before. An important duo that we need to watch out for will be Russ and AD. LeBron and AD have built a solid pick-and-roll combo in their 2 years together. Russ will need to come close to their chemistry for the Lakers to run at full capacity. Lastly, I think Gasol will lose a lot more playing time when the playoffs arrive. His primary role is to be a defensive big, but aside from Jokic, there aren't any other burly bigs that Gasol can match up well. We'll either see some Anthony at the 4 and Davis at the 5 lineups, where AD can cover for Melo's bad defense, or traditional 2 big lineups with Howard and Davis in the front court. Defense might be a more pressing matter for these new-look Lakers. They lost their key guard defender, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and a solid defender in Kyle Kuzma. They had no problem replacing the wing stopper role by signing Trevor Ariza and Kent Bazemore, 2 better defenders than Kuzma. However, that defensive guard is a big hole that other teams can exploit. The hope for the Lakers is that Talen Horton-Tucker can develop into their primary guard defender during the season, but that's a big ask for a player who wasn't even on the main rotation in their championship runs. Kendrick Nunn is a great defender, but Malik Monk is an absolute sieve on defense. Westbrook, on the other hand, is very inconsistent on defense, and so is LeBron. Hell, LeBron got flamed recently for not trying at all on defense, seemingly giving up on his team. Their saving grace, though, is their big man lineup, arguably one of the best in the league. They have virtually every possible combination they could need to match up against opposing defenses. For extra rim protection, they can do AD Dwight to match up against Bruiser bigs like Jokic and Nurkic. There's Gasol. Anthony is the weak link defensively, but his offensive contribution makes up for it. And Dwight or AD can protect the back line well enough anyway. I think this Lakers lineup will be solidly in the top 10 on offense, but it'd be a miracle if they're a top 10 defensive team. Most likely, they'll sit in the middle or in the bottom 10 on defense. Who are the most important players in this Lakers roster? Technically, all of them are, but there are two in particular that I need to mention. First off, Russell Westbrook. Westbrook's play tends to diverge into two directions. Either he does really well and leads your team to victory, or he comes out stumbling and drags your team to defeat. Westbrook will try to do everything for the team, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. Russ will need to learn to defer to a better playmaker than him and start looking for ways to make an impact off the ball. A much improved three would help greatly, but even just simple back cuts will make a difference. Unlike in other teams he played in, there will be a passer who can get him the ball when he makes the hard cut. Second, I'm looking at Talen Horton-Tucker. THT will likely fill the role Caldwell-Pope left. The token 3-and-D guard who will check the opposing guard and space the floor on offense. As it stands though, he's decent in defense only, with his shooting percentage never rising above 30%. Horton-Tucker will need to step up big time for these guys to win at all. My predictions for this team are, at best, finals appearance, because LeBron is a beast, and this team can outscore everyone. At worst, missing the play-in due to an unprecedented injury from LeBron and Westbrook at the same time. Most probable outcome is probably a WCSF appearance. Maybe they make it out, depending on their matchups. That's all. Thank you for watching.